Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Potterwatch from Page to Screen. I'm Elizabeth,
And I'm Lucy.
and today we'll be discussing The Midnight Duel, Quidditch Practice and Chance.
But first, let's reach into the sorting hat and answer some random questions. Today I'll be picking a Harry Potter question and Elizabeth has a completely random one. Ooh.
We need to buy an actual sorting hat from the
Yes.
studio tour so we can actually physically
pull out the
reach into
sorting
the
hat.
sorting hat.
Definitely. Okay.
Alright, you want to go first or shall I?
Let's end with the Harry Potter question, I think.
Okay, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I like this one. If you could instantly make each other like something, aka TV program, film, music, etc., what would it be and why?
Okay, I know mine immediately.
Okay, go on.
Oh, actually there's two.
Okay.
I think I have my one though. I don't know if it counts because it's a bit broad, but can I say horror?
Yeah, you can say horror.
Okay, because I feel like you hate horror.
Well, I don't hate horror. I just can't watch it.
Right, exactly. So I feel like if I could give you I don't know.
It would be quite a nice gift actually.
Right,
Then we can
because a lot
bond
of
over Stephen
exactly,
King.
exactly. Because I love, and the thing is, a lot of horror films, books, whatever, I love not for the horror. It's like the
Yes.
characters and the story and the morals
Same.
and the themes.
I'm really annoyed that I can't get
Right,
into,
exactly.
well, I can't watch, well,
So,
especially Stephen King actually.
so if I could do a little spell and horror didn't get to you as much, and you could read all, because I feel like a lot of the books that I really love, you would also really love, but they're just really scary.
Yeah.
Or I know this isn't really where you were going with music and books and stuff, but roller coasters.
Oh, yeah. That would also be a gift because I wish I was into roller coasters as well. I mean, I like roller coasters, just not
Yeah.
ones that flip me upside down.
Yeah,
I hate going upside
which are
down.
the best ones in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I can
think
see
that would-
that. Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, the reason I can't watch horror is because my greatest fear is the fear of the dark. Well, and specifically what may be lurking in the dark in my imagination.
Yeah.
So scary shape-shifting clowns do not appeal to me.
Although, well, I was going to say, in the case of it's kind of like a boggart, but I guess a boggart is more of like a creature, whereas it is actually trying to harm you.
Yeah. All right. Well, what would I do for you? I forgot I had to answer the question. I think the same with you. Like, if I could go really broad, I would say anime.
Oh yeah, okay.
But if I had to go specific, I'm gonna hark back to one of my earlier answers and say Avatar: Last Airbender. Yeah, because in my opinion, it's much more than just that's a nice TV program. It has so many important points that it covers. It's I can't describe how good that is. I really want you to watch it, but yeah, anime in general, I think would be really nice because that's a very huge part of my life with you, with horror.
Yeah.
That we really don't have in common. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, I've realised I keep forgetting to delete the questions when I ask them, so I don't think I've asked this before, but my question is, what is your favourite Harry Potter quote?
Oh, no, you haven't asked
Okay,
this.
good.
Favourite Harry Potter? Oh, there's so many. Does it have to be specifically from the books or the films, or can it be from either or?
I think either, yeah.
Okay, good, because I have no clue which one's going which anymore. I think the one about the choices is probably my favourite.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is our choices, Harry, that make us who we are far more than our abilities. That's the book, and in the film it is not our abilities that show who we truly are, it is our choices, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I like that. And I also like me and my husband Roman were discussing this maybe today or yesterday, actually. This quote came up of Sirius taking hold of Harry and saying, "The world isn't made of good people and Death Eaters. There is good and bad in all of us."
Yeah.
I really like that one as well.
I'm actually not sure. I feel like I should have like a proper, what's the word? Like a, I don't know what word I'm thinking of. Like a
like
lot
an
of
arsenal.
I guess that was what I was thinking, but that doesn't sound right.
Library?
An arsenal of a library. That's slightly better.
Collection.
A catalogue, I guess,
Oh,
of
yeah, okay.
all the quotes I like because of your mum's present for my 17th birthday of all the quotes from across the books. I do really. It's not a particularly like profound or meaningful one, but there's a quote in the fifth book, I think, where McGonagall says something like, "So Potter, have you thought about your future?"
Oh, that's in the 5th.
Yeah, and he's like, "What?" Also, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I quite like that. But I think my favourite is the one that Hagrid says, and I can't remember exactly how it goes either in the film or in the book, but I think it's just what's coming will come, and we'll
face it when it
meet
does.
it when it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love
I
that
think
one too.
in the film he says something like, "There's a storm coming, and we'll best be ready for her when she." Yeah, but yeah, it's just like,
oh yeah, I didn't.
what's gonna come
like,
is gonna
does
come.
he even say it in the film? But yeah, I think he does.
It's
say
just a
something
slightly
about
different
storm.
kind of tone, I guess. But yeah, I just like that. It's like, what's gonna happen is gonna happen, and we'll just deal with it when it happens.
Yeah. Oh, he says like, "There are dark times coming. There's a storm brewing," or something like that.
Yeah. I know I'm saying so many, but I also just really love "Don't let the Muggles get you down."
Oh yeah,
that's just a classic.
I mean, we've got to do like a major shout out to Swish and Flick because we both listen to that podcast. And if you're not, like, why are you listening to us instead of Swish and Flick? Go listen to them right now, because we were inspired by them to make this podcast, and they say that at the end of every single episode, and I think it's
such a good
really fitting. Yeah. There are so many though. There are so many. You know, there's a really popular game. You probably know it, but in the church that I belong to, called "Is it from Harry Potter or from General Conference?"
I think I've seen that before. Yeah.
So they General Conference in our church is like, we put like a broadcast out every twice every year, I think. And they say lots of like profound things, and they like, I've thought a number of times that Harry Potter and General Conference, like, they both sound like they could come from the same. So I find that really funny. But I'm just waiting until the day that someone from General Conference actually does share a Harry Potter quote, because they haven't yet. Like, Lord of the Rings is in there. Alice in Wonderland has.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Well, I mean, maybe it was you. I'm pretty sure when I still went that there were many Harry, but that was probably you and your mum.
Yeah, I think it was more like in the church that we were in, rather than people of authority saying, I want someone like, the prophet to say, like, in Harry Potter, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No.
But that would make my life. Oh, that was a really nice question. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So, in the last episode, Malfoy thought Professor McGonagall was going to expel Harry and had come to give him an emotional farewell.
Just to say, I had a lot of fun writing the script for this episode.
I do. Sorry, I do love that you've put in for my introduction to this, where I say "alrighty" and "alright" all the time. It's not just "alright" or in the last episode, it's "alright." In the last episode. So that's a nice touch.
Thank you. But unfortunately for Malfoy, Harry isn't going home, and Malfoy gets insanely jealous and challenges Harry to a wizard's duel that very night at midnight. Obviously this whole scene, chapter, whatever you want to call it, is omitted from the book, from the film. So obviously it's going to be a lot of like, this is what happens, but we'll try and make it interesting. So I'm just going to start it off by reading a little bit from the chapter. Let me just find it. I wanted to read about seconds because the whole idea of seconds just amuses me a little bit, especially in this context. "I'd take you on any time on my own," said Malfoy. "Tonight, if you want. Wizard's duel. Wands only, no contact." "What's the matter? Never heard of a wizard's duel before, I suppose?" "Of course he has," says Ron, wheeling round. "I'm his second. Who's yours?" Malfoy looked at Crabbe and Goyle, sizing them up. "Crabbe," he said. And I wanted to kind of bring up seconds because the whole idea of seconds and like a formal wizarding duel is so amusing because like, what situation is that for? Like, every time we see fighting after this point, apart from Gilderoy Lockhart's fiasco of a lesson on dueling, is like random, chaotic, like it's not in this format. And I just wondered, like, why she even includes that. Like, I get for Gilderoy Lockhart later on, but she could have just had that then.
Well, okay, just because we didn't fully explain it, a second is the purpose of someone having a second is if you die essentially or are unable to continue the duel, your second will go and take your place.
I should have read that.
To be honest, it feels very kind of medieval, like fantasy, so I guess it's just kind of and also to put what's the phrase? Like, not set the stakes. Oh, my brain is not working today. Like, heighten the stakes? I don't know, but make it seem dangerous because...
Right.
He needs a second, so maybe he'll die.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, so in Avatar Last Airbender, actually, there's this thing called Agni Kai in the Fire Nation, which is like, "I challenge you to an Agni Kai," and it's like very formal one-on-one fire-bending battle kind of thing. But then obviously they also have like just all-out war and war.
Yeah.
And I guess like I guess it's true that it needs to have like both because people like to kind of raise the stakes, I guess is probably what you were thinking of that phrase. Okay.
Yeah, and I always used to, when I was younger and I would read or watch like Narnia and you have them going to their camps and like challenging them to a battle, I was always like, why are they talking about a battle and not just fighting? But obviously that's just etiquette, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess but like Voldemort in medieval times, like they usually like before a battle they'll send letters back and forth like, "Do you want to surrender?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about that before.
Although this is obviously a lot less sophisticated. It does seem odd that he set it up so formally. I guess, you know what, actually...
But because of what happens later, he had to do that.
Yeah. But it's probably also that he's just trying to show off that he knows more than Harry.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
By being like, "Oh, yes, a wizard's duel. Do you not know what that is?"
Yeah, that sounds very Draco-ish. Yeah, okay. So Ron again comes in with like the wizarding knowledge and like being able to reassure Harry with this. So Harry is kind of worried about this, and Ron says, "Neither of you knows enough magic to do any real damage," which like Ron is always put in the film across as like I don't know how else to say this other than the stupid one. And I like these little touches in the book that make it obvious that actually this is a really good point that he makes.
Yeah.
And the same in the train that we discussed earlier. Well, in the last episode.
Although he does also say later on at some point, like, if he curses you, make sure you dodge, because I can't remember how to stop it.
yeah, which is like so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Then Hermione catches wind of this. She butts in and tries to stop Harry. Um, but they ignore her rather rudely. So says they had almost. So this is just before they go out to go to the duel. Say they had almost reached the portrait hole when a voice spoke from the chair nearest them. I can't believe you're going to do this, Harry. A lamp flickered on. It was Hermione Granger wearing a pink dressing gown and a frown. You, said Ron furiously, go back to bed. Sorry. I almost told your brother, Hermione snapped. Percy, he's a prefect. He'd put a stop to this. Harry couldn't believe anyone could be so interfering. Come on, he said to Ron. He pushed open the portrait of the fat lady and climbed through the hole. So Harry really does not like Hermione, as well as Ron. Like, I always saw it as like Ron was the mean one, like he was always the one that
Yeah, yeah. I also always forget that they were never just always friends.
Yeah, yeah, it's really odd to read this book and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they actually
We're, like,
really hated
we're
each
over
other.
halfway through now, through the book,
Yeah,
and they're still very much not friends.
yeah, like Harry is really mad at her, as well as Ron,
Yeah.
which is weird because I always see Harry as like the kind of middleman,
Reasonable, yeah, yeah.
Well, Hermione as well. Ron, I always saw Ron as like the volcano of the group.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I really like this quote when she follows them out. It says that she's hissing at them like an angry goose, which just really, paints a picture of how lovely Hermione can be.
Yeah. She really can be a piece of work sometimes, can't she?
Yeah.
But I guess like she's like, oh, it's for the good of the house kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's very
She likes rules.
chivalrous in that way.
Yeah.
Harry thought like this is his big chance to beat Malfoy face to face. He couldn't miss it.
Does he really think he's gonna win?
I literally wrote that. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty egotistical of you, but I guess like...
I guess if he thought he not beat him, but he was better at him than him at flying, so maybe he's like, whoa, wow, I'm so gifted.
I guess, and like maybe he's just kind of hoping against hope.
Yeah,
like
well, he does say this was his chance.
Yeah. And I put, with what? They hadn't even learned how to levitate a feather yet.
Yeah, what? Oh, yeah, Ron does say, doesn't he? He's like, the best you can do is shoot sparks at each other or something.
Yeah.
Or is that? Yeah. So they, they wouldn't really be doing much anyway.
Malfoy specifically says, like, no contact, wands only. So, yeah. Anyway. Just before they leave to go, however, Hermione tries to stop them again. She said, she's hissing at them like an angry goose, and she says, "Don't you care about Gryffindor? Do you only care about yourselves? I don't want Slytherin to win the House Cup, and you'll lose all the points I got from Professor McGonagall for knowing all about switching spells. Go away." All right, but I warned you. You just remember what I said when you're on the train tomorrow, or on the train home tomorrow. You're so... But what they were, they didn't find out. And Hermione has been locked out of the common room because the fat lady has wandered off.
How? It's like 11:30.
I know.
Well, yeah, I guess she can't really wander off that much in the day, to be fair.
I guess so, but like, surely she's just not allowed to leave her post ever. Like, imagine if she did that during Sirius Black, like when they all thought Sirius Black was a murderer.
Yeah.
Like, she would be demoted immediately. And I feel like Gryffindor Tower has like easily the worst security of all of the towers combined.
Yeah.
It's just so far beneath the others. Like, why can't they have a wall like Slytherin?
It seems, I feel like the other houses, well, I guess maybe Ravenclaw a bit, but the other ones, it feels like you don't really know quite where the entrance is. Although I guess we know because we read it, but I get the know of all the other common rooms.
I guess
It feels
so.
like the Gryffindor entrance is like really obvious, and all the other ones are a little bit more kind of
As well, yeah.
hidden.
But I think like if you were just a student at Hogwarts, you would probably know.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah.
it's not really relevant to the story. Shall I say what all of the other ways of getting into the common rooms are?
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's true, 'cause the films you only know
Yeah. So
Gryffindor,
in the film, you only know, yeah, you only know Gryffindor.
and you only see the Gryffindor and Slytherin common room.
Yeah, so how to get into Slytherin, you say the password, but it's a brick wall, and it's an unknown, like there's no
Marking.
marking. You just have to know where it is.
And
But
in the second film, it's pure blood, isn't it?
yeah, the password is pure blood, which I'm like, I actually don't like that at all. I think it's way too corny. But
Yeah.
the Ravenclaw Tower, you have to answer a different riddle each time, and if you can't answer it, you have to wait there until somebody else comes to answer it.
Is
That
it
is
a
to say
door
answer
knocker
it
that speaks
correctly.
to you, or am I
Yes,
making that up?
it's
It
a
is a
door
door
knocker.
knocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll get to that
Oh,
in
and
the
the one of
seventh
the
book.
yeah, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, because it's a really cool moment. I don't want to like spoil it right now. And then in the Hufflepuff common room, there is like a pile of barrels outside the common room, and you have to
I
tap.
think it's second from the left in the middle.
Okay, yeah, that
I'm not
sounds about
100%
right. You
sure.
have to tap a certain barrel
Yeah,
in the tune to. Oh
it's
my
the rhythm
word!
of Helga Hufflepuff.
Oh,
So
is
like
there?
Helga Hufflepuff.
Also, yeah, okay. In a certain rhythm anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you actually, this is why one of the
yes,
reasons I'm quite happy that I'm a Hufflepuff. It's the
yes.
only house with a defense mechanism, I guess.
Yeah,
If you
it's
tap
the
the
only
wrong
house
barrel,
that
or
attacks you back.
right, right.
Yeah, it
So if you tap,
sprays vinegar into your face if you get it wrong.
yeah,
If you tap the wrong barrel, if you get the rhythm
wrong
wrong,
rhythm,
yeah.
yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, go Badgers.
I feel like that was another one of those things that was possibly created when
To
people
make
started
Hufflepuff
hating
cooler.
Hufflepuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
I totally agree. I think a lot of things were added to make
yeah,
Hufflepuff cooler,
yeah.
and people still don't see Hufflepuff as cool, but oh well, we know we're cool. And here's another thing that I find odd about the Hogwarts system. So they find Neville down the corridor sleeping on the floor because he couldn't remember the password, and I'm like, that's a flaw in all of the for all of the things actually. Like, surely
Yeah.
this happens to other students as well, like especially Ravenclaw.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, there surely is like queues of students outside, like, I don't know the flipping answer to this riddle. But
Is it the
anyway,
same? Is it the same riddle until a student can answer it?
I would think so, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think that's quite interesting and quite overlooked on J.K. Rowling's part. But I mean, she overlooks a lot of things. So I guess we can just let it fly. Let it fly. They try to leave Neville, but he's already been scared by the Bloody Baron once or twice. So he tags along too. So now they're a party of 4. And they reach the trophy room, which is where Harry and Malfoy decide to meet, obviously. But Malfoy doesn't show, which I wrote is a very Slytherin move on his part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if he originally planned to go, which I don't think he ever did.
No.
But even if he did, I think it's still quite a Slytherin move, because I don't see Slytherins. I see Slytherins as quite. I mean, I don't want to say cowardly because that's kind of a negative term.
But just
But,
like cunning,
cautious?
like they'll
Yeah.
like they'll take the way in which they will benefit the most.
Yeah,
and they will be the most
exactly.
safe or the most
Yeah.
get the most out of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say. And then Filch is there, and they try and creep away, but Neville gets really scared. And I just wanted to read from the chapter here. He said they could hear Filch getting nearer. Neville suddenly let out a frightened squeak and broke into a run. He tripped, grabbed Ron around the waist, and the pair of them toppled right into a suit of armour. The clanging and crashing were enough to wake the whole castle. "Run!" Harry yelled. I don't really have anything to say about that. I just think that
it's a nice little.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to explain, but I feel like there are more moments of kind of chaos in the book.
Yes.
That now, especially now that I am a more competent reader, and B, I older and I've experienced secondary school, like I can kind of understand more.
Yeah.
I just think they're quite fun, those kind of like incidents.
Yeah, and they're also really character building. As we said before, like the films have to really perpetuate one characteristic about character, because you just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Whereas the books, like here, again, like it shows more about Neville and his nervousness, but it also shows Harry's initiative, where he just yells "run" because he's like, we don't have to be quiet anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, leadership as well. That's true. When they're quite far away, they stop for a break, and Hermione really helpfully points out that Malfoy probably did all of this on purpose to get them into trouble. And I really don't like Hermione at this point, which I guess you're not meant to, because you're in the Harry's perspective. But I'm like, she doesn't need to tell them that. Like, they already know that, and that information is not helpful at all to them at this point. Yeah. But I feel like she just likes to prove that she knows things.
Yes, and she also likes to feel like she's always in the right, and she wants to be like, look how stupid you guys are for getting me in this situation.
It's her Gryffindor really shining out there. Like, look how right I am. Yeah. And she says even here, "I told you," Hermione gasped, clutching at the stitch in her chest. "I told you." Yeah, I guess, like, I see that as a kind of a Ravenclaw trait as well, actually, of like know-it-all kind of. Like, obviously, we can't just put like a blanket over all of Ravenclaws. But I think there's obviously negative sides to all of the houses, and I think this is a very negative side to Ravenclaw. Because the hat wants to put Hermione in Ravenclaw originally, but she wanted to be in Gryffindor. Then they bump into Peeves, and Ron tries to like take a swipe at him, and he bellows their location. Like, he gets really angry that Ron takes a swipe at him, and he bellows, "Students out of bed! Students out of bed down the Charms corridor!" And I wanted to put that in because I really like how just not on anyone's side that Peeves is.
Yeah. He just wants to cause as much chaos as possible.
Yeah. That's his goal. Yeah.
Because he is literally just
he's
chaos.
A product of chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. That's literally what he actually is.
Yeah.
So it's understandable.
Yeah. Because like here he's like actually helping Filch, and this is where we join the film as well. So the film, just as we said, skips all of this, as you probably know. And in the film, what happens is they are climbing a staircase, and it moves randomly, and they're forced to just go up it. Well, they're not forced, but they just go up it and onto the third floor, where they're forbidden.
See, most of the time I'm absolutely fine with films cutting sections and taking shortcuts, especially with the Harry, because it's a huge book. Well, this one's not huge, but a
lot happens in it.
A lot happens that they've got to, navigate, putting into like 2 hours. But I've just never understood, like, why did they go through that door? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, so I rewatched it, and what happens is they Filch's cat bars one end of the corridor, I
I
think they're
mean,
scared of the moving staircase down the other corridor because Ron says, "Yeah, before the staircase moves again." And so
but I
the
just
only other option is that door. I think that's how they explain it. But I do agree with you that
surely you could like because they're going up that staircase to get to a different side. Like it's going up one way, so why not just go back the way they came? And I
yes,
don't
I
know,
was like, why
why
can't you
go
just
into a
go
random
down
door?
again?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it is that they were like scared that the staircase would move again and they would get even more
yeah.
lost.
I guess
But
so.
I know exactly, yeah, what you mean there. I think they could have done this a lot better.
Yeah. Although, in fairness, then that might have taken more time.
Yeah, it's all
So,
about time with films.
yeah.
Yeah, most of the decision making is, do we have time for this, and is it important enough
Yeah,
to spend
exactly.
the time and
And
make a longer film?
important enough for the almost like the story that they've chosen
Yeah,
in that film, if
yeah.
that makes
Whereas
sense.
like we can like talk about this and be like, oh, it's not like, oh, they changed this, it's so
Yeah.
annoying. But like, does it mean that Voldemort isn't gonna return? No.
Right, right.
Does it mean that they're not gonna get the Philosopher's Stone? No. But it is annoying.
Yeah.
It is annoying that they don't
Yeah.
explain it more.
Yeah.
Like they
I
could have said like, oh, we don't want to go down there because the staircases will move again, instead of Ron just randomly saying before the staircase moves
or
again.
like I don't know. I just feel like there are,
Yeah,
or maybe it could have been
like
like
Pete, like
they,
someone knocking them in
yeah, or
that
even just they
corridor.
went through there like thinking it was the way. I feel like
Yeah,
even that would have made more sense than them just like I don't
randomly
know,
coming
just
across
randomly
it.
being like, well, I guess we'll go through this door if we can't go through that door. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So yeah, they
It's
bump
just
into
one of those
yeah,
things that irks me.
yeah. Same. So then they bump into Mrs. Norris, and they realise, oh, we're on the third floor, and they run and they get to the door. So while all of this is going on in the book, Filch is asking Peeves which way they went. So this is quoting the book. Which way did they go, Peeves? Filch was saying. Quick, tell me. Say please. Don't mess me about, Peeves. Now where did they go? Shan't say nothing if you don't say please, said Peeves in his annoying sing-song voice. All right, please. Nothing! Told you I wouldn't say nothing if you didn't say please. And they heard the sound of Peeves whooshing away and Filch cursing in rage. So, like, that's another instance of Peeves just, like, he helps Filch, kind of. But then he's like, oh, I don't care about your life.
Yeah.
I don't care if you catch them or not, so
Yeah, it's
it'll
almost
annoy
like
you
all a big
more.
setup for the
Yeah,
punchline in a way. Yeah.
yeah. It's nice to have a character like that, I guess,
Yeah.
in a book series and a film series that is so about like right and wrong. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I said, why does Filch even try to question Peeves? Like, surely at this point he knows he cannot trust Peeves.
Yeah. I guess if he's called him over,
He
you
might
know,
think that Peeves is like
in a good
trying to
mood
trick the
today.
ickle thirsties.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
And it's just part of the gag, isn't it? Just the whole like
Yeah.
cat and mouse chase of like Peeves and Filch trying to get him out, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Harry realizes that Filch thinks so they've gone through the door at this point into the third floor corridor. And this is what it says in the book. There's another great bit. He thinks this door is locked, Harry whispered, in reference to Filch, I should add there. I think we'll be okay. Get off, Neville! For Neville had been tugging on the sleeve of Harry's dressing gown for the last minute. What? Harry turned around and saw quite clearly what. For a moment he was sure he'd walked into a nightmare. This was too much, on top of everything that had happened so far. So, as we all know, they turn around and see Fluffy. I just wanted to point out, I didn't think there was any thing significant about this, but I just wanted to point out that Fluffy is a Cerberus.
Are they the is that the dog that like guards hell?
Yes,
Right.
yeah. So it's a three-headed dog. I think
That's That's quite interesting that
Mm.
it's what guards Helen. It's guarding the
Yeah, I
Philosopher's
think that's
Stone.
probably where because J.K. Rowling takes a lot from like Greek, Norse, lots of fairy tales, and especially with creatures, I find like centaurs and stuff. They're all from creature mythology. Yeah, so I think that's probably what she was thinking. Like, I need something that guards something. Ah, Cerberus.
Yeah.
But I wondered, like, so I think in Greek mythology, like, it's not like a Cerberus, it's
Doesn't.
the Cerberus. Like, there's
Yeah,
one.
right. Because
So
that's why.
my question is there multiple three-headed dogs in the Wizarding World? And if so, that's terrifying. Um,
I imagine. Well, does Hagrid get him from a Greek?
a Greek
Is,
chappie in
yeah,
the
is that in
pub.
the book or in the film?
I
That he
think
says
that's
that.
just in the book. I don't think we know where it is in the film,
In the
although I
film, is it
haven't.
Irish?
Oh yeah, no, it is. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
haven't watched this bit because we haven't gotten to this bit in the film. But yeah, I think it is that he says Irish,
So that's
which
interesting that it is in the book. It's Greek. No, I mean,
yeah,
obviously that was
that's
intentional.
true. Yeah, yeah, I never thought about that. Oh, I was gonna say something as well. Oh yeah, I was gonna say like if there are multiple Cerberuses, um,
Cerberus.
yeah, like, are they called Cerberuses? And do they all get put to sleep with music, or is Fluffy just soft?
It feels like I always imagined him being put to sleep with music was like a breed, like not breed, but like creature thing. But maybe it is
Okay,
just
because
like
I saw it as a Fluffy thing, so that's
yeah,
interesting that you would say. Because I was like, that definitely sounds like Hagrid had like
yeah,
kind of bred him that way, and like
that's true.
it
Yeah,
sounds like I always imagined Hagrid got him as like a puppy and kind of sang him
raised him.
lullabies in the
Yeah,
night or something, and that's
yeah, that
why or
makes sense
something.
actually. That's true.
Yeah.
That sounds very possible.
And yeah, I mean, if that's true, where did he keep him after that? But anyway, that's probably the forest.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, probably.
Where does Hagrid keep any of his
I wonder if the
crazy
Forbidden
animals?
Forest was forbidden before Hagrid went
I
to
know.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, but there
he
is
was
like a
the
werewolf colony or something in there,
yeah,
isn't it? So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably another reason why. But yeah, I think Hagrid adds to the
Populated it.
forbiddenness
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
forest. Yeah. So, Harry rather wisely decides that he'd rather face Filch than be eaten by a three-headed dog, so he opens the door
Fair
to
choice.
escape. Yeah. And luckily, conveniently enough, Filch has wandered off to look somewhere else, so they run back to the common room. And here's where we meet the film, meet the film again. But Ron steals Harry's line in the film. So in the books, here's what he says. You don't use your eyes, any of you, do you? She snapped. Didn't you see what it was standing on? The floor, Harry suggested. I wasn't looking at its feet. I was too busy with its heads. So obviously, again, like they're perpetuating like Harry is the goody two shoes hero, Hermione
Yeah,
is the know-it-all, and Ron is the stupid clown.
mouthy one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess not a clown, but like funny one. Yeah, as you say, mouthy one. But obviously in the film it's changed to heads, floor. That's a bit How's that again? He says,
That really caught me off guard.
it's okay. Floor, I was a bit preoccupied with its heads. Or
Or
didn't you
maybe
notice? There
there
was
were
three.
three. Yeah.
So yeah, I, as in many instances, prefer the book. Yeah. As I will say, I have said and will continue to say it, I just love sassy Harry. He's like the best.
Yeah. I
When
do.
he's
I don't
sassy.
know quite why, but I do really like preoccupied over too busy. I don't know
Yes.
why.
I think it makes a
It
nicer
sounds more
sound.
sarcastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It also
Like I
sounds a
was
bit
too busy with its heads. I was a bit preoccupied with its head. It
more.
sounds.
You know what it probably is? There's more plosive sounds, which sound more aggressive.
Yes. Oh.
English language
Yeah,
student
I was
over
just
here.
about to say, look at you, sixth form student. Here's me, the old crone, well out of her high school years. Okay, so obviously Hermione's brilliant line is almost word for word, so I'm just going to read it out. I hope you're pleased with yourselves. We could all have been killed, or worse, expelled. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed. And Ron obviously does not say this line, but I just obviously in the film he says she needs to sort out her priorities.
That is
It's
incredible. It's
gold.
such a good addition.
Yeah, I bet
That's
like the writer is like when he wrote that line, he's like, oh, I'm gonna give myself a bit of a pat on the
yeah.
back. But all he says in the book is, no, we don't mind. He said, you'd think we dragged her along, wouldn't you?
That is also
It's also good.
also true. Like she's like, oh, I can't believe you dragged me out of the portrait. Yeah,
Yeah,
when she was
whereas
the one that stayed up and followed them out, and
yeah, she's
yeah,
like, well, I'm not waiting here. I'm coming with you.
and then
Yeah.
complains about
Then
going with
complains.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, Detective Harry strikes again. Harry Holmes and the Philosopher's Stone. He works out that Fluffy must have been gardening whatever had been taken from Gringotts on his birthday. So I'll read this so we know how he comes to this. But Hermione had given Harry something else to think about as he climbed back into bed. The dog was guarding something. What had Hagrid said? Gringotts was the safest place in the world for something you wanted to hide, except perhaps Hogwarts. It looked as though Harry had found out where the grubby little package from Vault 713 was.
Ooh.
Dun, dun,
I feel like
dun.
the ends of chapters in this book particularly are really
Oh,
good. Like those
yeah,
kind of
it's so
last lines.
snappy.
It's like he'd discovered. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
very
more
nice.
like little mysteries.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is why I particularly enjoy the fourth. Like if I recommend any of the books to anyone, it's definitely the fourth or fifth, I would say, because A, you miss out the most from the films, and B, like four is just like it is literally a murder mystery. It's got so
That's
many
true.
twists.
I haven't read the fourth book in ages.
I used
Oh,
to
you know what?
reread it a
Actually,
lot.
I would say the fifth book is by far my favorite book,
Uh-huh.
but the third one. We're going on a tangent here about books and movies.
That's
Well,
okay.
I guess that's what it's about.
Yeah.
But I feel like the third one. I love the third film's my favorite. I love the third film, and everyone's like, it's so different to the book, which yeah, understandable. But yeah, if you haven't read the third book contains so much
Yeah, it just
information,
has
particularly on
little bits of information, but I
yeah,
feel like the general atmosphere is actually quite similar.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for me, like me and Roman say this a lot as well. Like when we see a film that has been adapted or a play or whatever. I mean, I've only ever seen one play that's been adapted from book, which is Matilda. Um, that's the
I was
first
thinking
play
I've
I
never
ever.
seen. It was the first play you saw.
Yes, first
I
play
think
I
it
ever
was
saw.
possibly I saw it. I think I was like 7 or 8 when I saw it.
Oh, really?
I saw it on its
Oh,
first
yeah,
run.
because we talked about it when we met in the RSC right after you came back from China. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had a really interesting life. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so, and in Matilda, in the play, if you've ever seen it, they change so much in the story. Like,
But it
so much has changed. Yeah.
feels like Matilda.
Yeah,
But I think
like the
that's what.
music is so like the
Yeah.
music sounds like Quentin Blake's illustrations,
Mm-hmm.
and the songs get the feel of it, and I
Yeah.
feel like that is the most important thing
Yeah. Yeah.
that you could possibly have in a film or
Yeah.
any adaptation.
Yeah, as much as people say that, you know, we want just to use the books as a script and just have it exactly as it is. Actually, that would, I mean, I'd watch
it might be quite
but
boring. Yeah, of course we'd watch it, but
it wouldn't be a good film.
yeah, it would
It would
be a
just be exactly
documentary.
like the book. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Or like what I would really love is an anime series, or like just an animated series of it. And the reason why I say animated is because they could do so much with
Yeah.
like magic and stuff. Like you have
Yeah.
so many liberties in animation. With
Yeah.
animation as well, like it depends obviously what the artist's vision is, but you can have exactly what the artist's visions it to
And
be.
it can, you don't have the time constraint of working with children.
Yeah, and animals
Yeah.
and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite YouTube videos, and I'm sure I've shown you this, is like a spoof introduction of a Harry
yeah.
Potter anime, and I'll put the link in the description of this video. If I remember, I hope I will. I might write that down because it's such a good video. That video suffers a lot from same face syndrome, but apart from that, I really love all of the interpretations from the characters. I think it's really great. Anyway, that was a big tangent. Yeah.
But it's fine because it's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Mostly.
You need to go on.
No, it was.
Yeah. And you need to go on tangents, otherwise
Yeah.
it's just not as interesting as it could be.
Exactly. So now let's move on to Quidditch practice and charms class. Harry and Ron are speculating about the Philosopher's Stone. Ooh.
You sound so
Roll
excited.
credits. Yeah.
Roll credits. I
And
think like they are we're friends with Hermione at this point because I think they've already
Yeah.
done the troll at this point.
in the film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we'll get to. So yeah, they include Hermione.
Yeah. But in the book, they see Hermione's ignoring them because of their troublesome ways, which they consider to be an added bonus.
Yeah, I think I would at this point if I was them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hermione. She's so annoying in this bit. Yeah.
And, well, yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes in later ones as well, to be perfectly
it's,
honest.
you know, we're all human.
Yeah.
Harry gets his broom delivered to him at breakfast in the Great Hall. This is a pretty big change from book to movie. In the movie, they just get right to opening it there and then on the table to rip all the paper off. But in the book, it has a large note on the outside that reads...
Oh, if you could see Lucy's face right now.
Do, in full capitals, this first line, do not open the parcel at the table. It contains your new
Christopher Columbus.
It contains your new Nimbus 2000, but I don't want everybody knowing you've got a broomstick, or they'll all
Christopher
want
Columbus.
one. Oliver Wood will meet you tonight on the Quidditch pitch at 7 o'clock for your first training session. Professor M. McGonagall. To be honest, this is another change that's like, I don't think it matters.
I understand.
Because they don't include all the context of it being such a big deal that he has a broom, so it doesn't matter that he opens it just there.
Yes. But it's like... at the same time. Come on. Anyway, like it's such a big rule. Like, first years are not allowed to play Quidditch. But I guess, as you said, it's not really explored.
Even when Harry's like, because in the book it says in the letter something about like first years are not allowed broom. But that's not read in the film, so it's not really.
I guess, and they don't have the scene that you're about to go into with Malfoy either.
Yeah, so it's a thing that he's like super young. But it's not really in the films. It's not really highlighted.
So maybe
as
we
a
need
big
to clarify. Deal. You're not allowed a broom in first year.
Yeah, that's like a big rule.
A big no-no. Yeah.
Which
maybe that's why McGonagall bought it for him instead of Harry buying it himself.
Possibly. Yeah. That would make sense. Maybe that's a loophole. Maybe she technically owns the broom. And is like technically lending it to Harry. And that's
I
how
can see
I feel
McGonagall
like,
being like,
yeah, she's like looking through the rule book, being like, "Aha, I got it," figuring out how she can sort it out. And yeah, in the film, it's reordered so that Harry gets his broom after he's dealt with the troll.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Do you think Book McGonagall would have still got Harry the broom if he had fought a mountain troll before?
This is an interesting question. I don't know. I'm conflicted because at one point McGonagall is obsessed with Quidditch.
Yeah, and particularly beating Slytherin.
Yeah, like I believe she used to play Quidditch when she was at school.
I think so, yeah.
And she like has
or at
this.
least maybe that's a film thing, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she has this rivalry as well with Snape. And as you said, like it's been a while since Gryffindor has won.
Yeah.
So she's like desperate, but at the same time, I feel like she would be battling with, well, like, but I need to be a good teacher. Like, what would I be like?
To be fair, I completely forgot she awards them points for fighting the mountain troll.
True.
So actually,
she's not really angry at Harry and Ron. She's angry at Hermione because she thinks Hermione is the one that led the troll.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That Hermione
went after the troll.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's angry with them still, but I completely forgot that they actually don't get punished.
Kind of amused.
Yeah.
When she says like, for sheer dumb luck.
Yeah, I imagine her keeping a straight face and getting back to her office and just losing.
Being like, nice one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like, and I'm like, if this happened, I guess this happens in the book before the troll. No. Yeah. Before the troll, but if it happened like in the movies after the troll, she's like, phew, I'm so glad my seeker hasn't been tapped.
That's true. Although it's in the film, doesn't she still kind of recruit him before the troll, but he just gets the broomstick after the troll?
Yeah, she does.
So yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, oh my gosh, I literally just found the perfect seeker. I'm so glad he wasn't injured. Like, I feel like her feelings for Harry wouldn't really come into play, and she would just be like, seeker, here's the seeker.
Yeah. That's
although I guess she knows how important he is to the Wizarding, but I think she's just thinking about him being
blinded by the
point.
possibility of beating Snape. So, because in the book broomsticks are very much not allowed, they go quickly from the hall, meaning to open it before their first lesson. But Malfoy, knowing that it's a broom, has intercepted them. He wrongly assumes that Harry has bought himself a broom, which is against the rules, and is just about to tell Harry that it's against the rules when Professor Flitwick walks by.
Sorry, this is such a good bit. Every time I read this bit, I'm like, yes! Suck it, Draco. Because, like, although Draco is, like, my favourite character, he's a little snot in these first few books.
Yeah. So, this is from the book. Halfway across the entrance hall, they found the way upstairs barred by Crabbe and Goyle. Malfoy seized the package from Harry and felt it. That's a broomstick, he said, throwing it back to Harry with a mixture of jealousy and spite on his face. You'll be 4 at this time, Potter. First years aren't allowed them. Ron couldn't resist. It's not any old broomstick, he said. It's a Nimbus 2000.
It's an M&S broomstick. Sorry.
What?
Have you not seen those adverts?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
When I was younger, there was these series of adverts from M&S, an English food chain, with like, this isn't just any lava cake, it's an M&S lava cake, and they would do it with us.
I have a friend who is a little, I don't want to say snobbish, but a little snobbish in terms of food and stuff, and he really likes M&S, so we quote that a lot. Yeah.
Now that I eat my husband's cooking every day, I'm gotta confess, I am a little bit of a food snob as well. So I understand whenever somebody is a food snob, I'm like, if you want to be a snob about anything, food is definitely the right choice.
Yeah. It's not any old broomstick, he said. It's a Nimbus 2000. What did you say you've got at home, Malfoy? A Comet 260? Ron grinned at Harry. Comets look flashy, but they're not in the same league as the Nimbus. What would you know about it, Weasley? You couldn't afford the handle, Malfoy snapped back.
Sorry.
Your commentary. I suppose you and your brothers have to save up, twig by twig. But before Ron could answer, Professor Flitwick appeared at Malfoy's elbow. Not arguing, I hope, boys, he squeaked. Oh, not arguing, I hope, boys, he squeaked. Potter's been sent a broomstick, Professor, said Malfoy quickly. Yes, that's right, said Professor Flitwick, beaming at Harry. Professor McGonagall told me all about the special circumstances, Potter. And what model is it? A Nimbus 2000, sir, said Harry, fighting not to laugh at the look of horror on Malfoy's face. And it's really thanks to Malfoy here that I've got it, he added. Harry and Ron headed upstairs, smothering their laughter at Malfoy's obvious rage and confusion. Which is true that it is partly Malfoy's doing.
Yeah, as Harry said, well, it's true. If he hadn't stolen Neville's Remember-All, I wouldn't be in the team. I love that moment.
I think I forget how much I love Professor Flitwick. He feels like that teacher who's... I feel like him and... I don't know if it really goes into him and McGonagall being friends, but I feel like him and McGonagall are very good friends.
Yeah, like especially in the when they're all kind of ganging up on Umbridge.
Yeah.
Him and McGonagall really have some fun with it. I feel like, yeah.
I think they have a similar level of like firm but fair.
Yes.
With McGonagall being slightly more firm.
On the firmer side, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Flitwick is, a bit of softer, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like these moments because every time somebody said something to me like this, I would like come out with like stupidest things, and then as I'm sleeping or like a week later or even now, like I remember things that people like bullies said to me at high school, and I'm like, damn it, I should have said this. That would have been so good. And so to me, like, it's so cathartic hearing Harry say like such good comebacks. Because J.K. Rowling can sit there for 20 minutes thinking, oh, what would be the perfect comeback for this. And the other time that I really like it, which obviously we'll get to, but I wanted to mention it now because it's so good, it deserves mentioning twice, is when Harry said, shame yours doesn't have an extra arm on your broom, Malfoy. It could catch the snitch for you or something. I can't remember what it is, but it's just such a sweet victory. Sweet victory, yeah. Sorry, if you know what SpongeBob episode that is from, you are my friend. Anyway.
And then after this little confrontation, they have a similar interaction with Hermione. She says, so I suppose you think that's a reward for breaking rules, came an angry voice from just behind them. Hermione was stomping up the stairs looking disapprovingly at the package in Harry's hand. I thought you weren't speaking to us, said Harry. Yeah, don't stop now, said Ron. It's doing us so much good. Hermione marched away with her nose in the air. Yeah. Not much to say there, just Hermione being Hermione again.
And those two being great again.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, later that day, Harry has his first Quidditch practice with Oliver Wood at dusk on the Quidditch pitch. And in the film, it's daytime in a random field clearing near the castle.
Yeah, that confuses me.
I think this is probably just a case of like logistics and filming and timetables and children.
I guess so, but it's it could be so easy to set up a set where you have like some fake grass on the floor and just some panels of wood.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you don't have to set up like a really big set for that, just for Harry and Wood to have a little conversation. Then you could do the rest with green screen, but I guess the technology at the time wasn't
Or
great to do
even
that.
if I guess they just wanted to keep a kind of cheery vibe, and I guess maybe in terms
Mm.
of tone of the film, they wanted this to be daylight because it's a happy scene.
I
But they could
guess
have
so.
just like color graded it to look like dusk. Like that's what most films do. So I
Yeah.
guess it was probably more of a visual thing of like they wanted it to look
It's just
bright and
another
happy.
school moment, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
if it
never
was
thought
dark,
of
it
that.
might have felt a bit. It makes sense for it to be
Sinister.
dusk in the book because it's kind of a bit secret.
Yeah, well, and it's after lessons as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess for yeah, because you don't see it, if that makes sense, in the book.
Hmm.
But in the film, maybe they wanted to keep a consistent kind of color scheme for the moods and
Oh, I
the,
guess so. And they're like,
you
oh, this
know,
is another bit where we can use Alnwick Castle. Like, why don't we just
yeah,
film it there where we're
exactly,
filming so much stuff? Yeah.
right.
I
Yeah,
guess I
it's
didn't
such a
think
short
about it
scene.
in that way.
I still would have liked it to be at dusk though,
Yeah.
even if that was just with the coloring in post
Yeah,
production.
like the visuals, like even if they didn't do it with the with the golf balls, which I feel like would be such a nice visual. So they practice with golf balls. Sorry, I'm kind of going into your section. They practice with golf balls instead of an actual snitch.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like that would be so cool to like not see Harry quite well, but then see these golf balls like being snatched away.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
or the snitch, like the golden glint of the snitch, if they wanted to have more like snitch moments.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but anyway, I don't know. I think like they found Quidditch quite difficult.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine that would be quite a challenge,
yeah, but I
especially in the
feel
early
like they don't
2000s.
have, I feel like they don't have much excuse though, because like at this point, doesn't like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings already exist? And they have
Yeah.
really good visuals, but maybe they didn't have the budget, I don't know, but
Well, yeah, or even just like Jurassic Park. That was '93, I think, and that was incredible.
exactly. Yeah.
But I guess it's different though because things like that are often quite static, whereas Quidditch is
Yeah,
like
they
people
could use a
zoom
lot of
around like it's a sport.
puppetry and you
Yeah.
can't do Quidditch with
No.
puppets. Can you imagine like a guy like on a green screen holding like sticks? Like
With like a little Harry.
yeah.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Although they did do that with the Dementors, and that worked very well. Anyway,
True. True.
but I guess Dementors are different to 12-year-old children on
Yeah.
broomsticks, flying
Yeah.
through the sky, catching balls and throwing balls
Yeah.
and batting balls. Yeah, yeah, it's a logistical conundrum, and I think they did it
It's
well.
every filmmaker's nightmare,
Yeah,
Quidditch.
yeah, yeah. I think they. I mean, there's not much Quidditch in all the films.
Well, because J.K.
Um,
Rowling hated doing it as well.
yeah,
She really didn't like writing Quidditch.
but there's a lot more in the book than there is in the. But yeah, to be honest, I always found the Quidditch matches quite boring.
Really, I loved them because
Yeah,
so
I was
much
always just like,
important.
meh, meh, meh.
Yeah, so many important things happen during
I
Quidditch
guess so.
matches.
But at the time, I was just like, oh, sport. Like, this is boring.
But it's sport, yeah. But it's like they're flying on
Yeah,
brooms
yeah, true.
with flying balls.
But yeah,
Anyway,
still, I just wanted to skip to all the cozy Hogwarts bits. Yeah.
I guess.
So Harry, when he arrives early, and he's so excited to practice that he gets on the Nimbus 2000 and did a little bit of flying before Wood arrived.
I feel like
And
film Harry wouldn't do that.
no,
I
no,
feel
he
like
would be
film
too
Harry
like
is a bit too shy for that.
yeah, and like oh, I'm not sure if I'm allowed.
Yes, yes.
Whereas book Harry's just like, I want to fly, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
fly.
yeah.
He's a bit more, yeah, instinctive, I guess. So then Wood explains the rules to Harry, and Harry repeats them back out loud and compares it to basketball, which baffles Oliver Wood, which I quite like. This feels similar to Ron and, is it Dean Thomas talking
Yeah,
about football?
arguing about football, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I quite like all these little Muggle world references that are thrown in.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
but
quite
like
nice.
I love how Harry refers it to basketball, but it always reminds me of that bit in is it a Harry Potter musical or the sequel where he's like, yes, it's a bit like that, but not like that at all. When
Yeah.
Quirrell like is talking about the Triwizard Tournament,
Yeah, yeah,
and
in the first one.
yeah, oh yeah, that's in the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah, no, he's talking about the house cup or something, and
and
Hermione's like,
Hermione goes,
oh, like the Triwizard Tournament. Well, yes, but a bit like that.
no, she says about like the house tournament, the house cup. Is
No,
it?
she says like because it's like she says like the Triwizard Tournament because it's not the Triwizard Tournament in a Harry Potter musical
Is it
because it's
not?
just Hogwarts
Oh,
students.
okay. Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
And she messes up her line. Sorry, I watched
She
that.
does. No, I
She's
know.
like the house. No, like the Triwizard
Yeah.
Tournament. Yeah,
I literally know that whole play
yeah,
off by heart. Like I can play it in my head when I'm bored. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
So yes,
Oh,
and
by the way, when I was writing this script, I included that Harry repeats it out loud because I really just wanted to say that this is a great way of learning. If you
that's
ever
very
want to
true.
learn anything, if you like repeat it out loud or write it down, like I know that teachers always say like, oh, make sure you take notes, but it's
Yeah.
and I don't take notes when I should, but it is a really good thing
Yeah,
to like
repetition in general.
repeat it, discuss it. Like when I was at school, my mum would always say, teach me how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Teaching people is a really good way of
Yeah.
learning yourself
Yeah.
because you've got to know it enough in order to explain it, and in doing so, you're kind of explaining it to yourself. Well, we should start a revision tips.
And this is like, I guess this just occurred to me that it's kind of sad that Harry does this because he's repeating it not to anyone, he's repeating it to himself because he doesn't have anyone to talk to up until this point in primary school. Because the Dursleys don't do that for him. So I guess it's quite smart for him, but it's still a bit sad. Sorry.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway, in the film, Oliver says, "You catch the snitch, Potter, and we win," which is wrong.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Yeah, it's just incorrect. In the book, he says, "Whichever seeker catches the snitch wins his team an extra 150 points, so they nearly always win," which is more accurate. But
because
again,
if it was the same in the film, if it was that case in the film, if you caught the snitch, it might as well have 2 players and 1 snitch and nothing else. Because why would you need to score points if like the snitch just overrules everything?
Is it there's never like because in the film there's none of the in the 4th one where
you don't
Ireland...
see any of the World Cup.
Yeah, and they never even mention it.
Yeah,
so in the 4th one, Ireland win.
Ireland win, but Crumbs catches the
Bulgaria
snitch.
catches the snitch.
Yeah, because he wanted to feel a little bit of like, we won something.
Yeah,
because he was like, we ain't winning this.
Well, but surely even if they had been like 30 points up and then he caught the snitch.
I think he knew that Bulgaria was never going to get above.
Anyway. But I think in the case of the film, it's never really disputed that that's kind of the rule, is it?
Yeah, and it annoys me because there is literally no reason to change this other than it's quite dramatic and him saying, "You catch the snitch, Potter, and we win." I
guess it's just shorter than saying, "Whichever seeker catches the snitch wins his team an extra 150 points."
Snappier, yeah,
and
that's
so
true.
They nearly always win. It's just like, you catch this and we win. It's like, oh, okay, so he needs to catch the snitch. It's really important.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So again, it's just time and
it's
ease.
Snappier. Yeah.
And it sounds better and more dramatic, like you said, rather than being like, well, we'll probably win if you catch this. It just depends. Like, depends on that better. Yeah. And does he do this after, or has he already done this? He explains the rules of Quidditch. This is Oliver Wood explaining the rules of Quidditch with, I'm going to skip all the bits of Harry repeating it in the context of what's going on, just so that, you've got the basics. So he opens the crate and there are 4 different sized balls. Right. Now, Quidditch is easy enough to understand, even if it's not easy to play. There are 7 players on each side, 3 of them are called chasers. This ball's called a quaffle. The chasers throw the quaffle to each other and try to get it through one of the hoops to score a goal. 10 points every time the quaffle goes through one of the hoops. So it's like basketball. What's basketball? Now there's another player on each side who's called the keeper. I'm the keeper for Gryffindor. I have to fly.
Wait.
Oh.
All right, carry on.
I'm the keeper for Gryffindor. I have to fly around our hoops and stop the other team from scoring. So then Wood shows him the bludgers, which are 2 identical balls, jet black and slightly smaller than the red quaffle. Harry asks if the bludgers have ever killed anyone, and Wood says never at Hogwarts, which is comforting.
Which is a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like never at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Never
What?
at Hogwarts, but yeah. Well, yeah. And then, of course, he shows Harry the golden snitch. He says,
I was just about to say, like, with the bludger bit in the film, you know, when Wood like gives Harry the bat and it's like, duh, duh, with the music, and it's all like, ooh. I always get really confused at that bit because it's like, you know, when Ollivander gives him his wand and it's like the music and it's like he's asleep.
It's a bat.
it's literally a bat.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a special moment. It's just like, I can see if it was like, oh, this is going to be a bit dangerous.
Yeah. I guess it is going to be a little bit dangerous.
But it's like, oh, this is special. Like, Harry is a beater. Like, Harry's destiny is actually being a beater.
Yeah.
Anyway, that bit always really confuses me.
I forgot that even happened. So yeah. Wood says the golden snitch is the most important ball of the lot. It's very hard to catch because it's so fast and difficult to see. It's the seeker's job
this
to
ball.
catch it. Episode title.
Okay.
I forgot about that line. Oh.
I hate that line. It's so like weird in so many ways. It makes me really uncomfortable, that line. And I know.
Oh, I
Again.
I'm actually crying a little bit.
I get the sentiment behind this because it's a really cool ball. But at the same time, like, why did they keep
it's the way his voice kind of quivers.
Like, why did they use that take? Like, even if they do one take right, I don't know if, and lots of people don't, I don't know if this is common knowledge. I think this probably is common knowledge. Like, if the film crew does one take and it's like, wow, that was perfect, they do another one. Like, you always do another one because, like, what if a bird randomly flew across the screen they didn't know, or a hair might have been out of place.
Or just what if they do different tones so that the editor can like pick the one that fits best.
But
especially
it's like,
in this,
why did they choose that take?
Oh, I completely forgot about that until you just said it.
My stomach hurts from laughing.
I can't believe I forgot about that line. Wow, no, yeah, okay, favourite Harry Potter quote. I have to change my answer.
I like this ball.
It's the tone. Oh, I like, I don't know. It's
like,
I don't know.
Slightly perverted.
Yes. It's like, okay, Harry, calm down. You're not alone. Like, get it together.
Everyone likes a snitch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Next. Okay, so now we've heard the rules from Oliver Wood. I just want to talk a little bit about the origins of Quidditch. So this is from Quidditch Through the Ages, which I would highly recommend. I really love Quidditch Through the Ages.
Oh, it's such a good book. Like, when I first picked up, I was like, why on earth would I want this? But it's so interesting. Like, if you're interested in this kind of thing, whereas if you're listening to this podcast, like, if you're still listening to it, surely you're interested.
Or there's just something wrong with you, to be honest. But yeah, so in the chapter about the origins of Quidditch, we hear that It's first mentioned by a witch called Gertie Cadell, who lived on the edge of Quidditch Marsh in the 11th century.
So
And
it's like
she,
queer ditch.
yeah, queer ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah, spelt queer like strange, ditch like a little
ditch.
yeah, a ditch. And she kept a diary, which is now in the Museum of Quidditch in London. So this is her diary entry about a game that she saw being played. Tuesday, hot. That lot from across the marsh have been at it again, playing a stupid game on their broomsticks. A big leather ball landed in my cabbages. I hexed
My
the man.
cabbages!
I hexed the man.
If you know what that's from, I'm also your friend. Carry on.
I hexed the man who came for it. I'd like to see him fly with his knees on back to front. The great hairy hog. Tuesday,
Rude.
wet. Was out on the marsh picking nettles. Broomstick idiots playing again. Watched for a bit from behind a rock. as you do.
Yeah.
They've got a new ball, throwing it to each other and trying to stick it in trees at either end of the marsh. Pointless rubbish. Tuesday, windy. Gwenog came for nettle tea, then invited me out for a treat. Ended up watching those numbskulls playing their game on the marsh. That big Scottish warlock from up the hill was there. Now they've got two big heavy rocks flying around trying to knock them all off their brooms. Unfortunately, it didn't happen while I was watching. Gwenog told me she often played herself. Went home in disgust. Firstly, can I say that what I love most about these diary entries is that the only day she knows is Tuesday. And so every day is just Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually notice that.
But yeah, I really like those little extracts because I think I like Quidditch Through the Ages because it reads like a history textbook. Not a history textbook, but like it reads like a popular history textbook. Not textbook, but you know what I mean,
it's a fun way of learning history. It's like what is it? Horrible Histories.
Yeah, it does feel like Horrible Histories. Actually, it's a good comparison.
Yeah. I like the nod to Gwenog here as well. Like, obviously it's not the same person, but we have Gwenog.
Gwenog Jones is captain of the Holyhead Harpies, which is my Quidditch team.
Oh yeah.
I have a Holyhead Harpies flag. Big supporter, big fan. All female Welsh team. Very proud of.
Do you still have your posters?
Oh, the Harpies ones?
Yeah, I drew for you.
They're in my pile of things to stick on my Harry Potter wall. And Gwenog Jones is mentioned in Quidditch Through the Ages a couple of times.
She's super cool. Even though we have no idea about her at all, I'm have a very slight girl crush on her.
Yeah, I think
I shouldn't say girl crush. That's really cringy. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Admiration for her. The only time she's properly mentioned is when, after a game of Quidditch where they win, or maybe the opposing team wins. I think the opposing team possibly wins, and the team captain of the opposite team flies down and proposes to her, and I think she either punches him in the face or like breaks his jaw with her beater bat or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And I just wow, what an icon.
Yeah. I mean, it's things like that.
Oh no, hang on, sorry, I've just turned to it. Yeah, she concussed him with her clean sweep 5.
I mean, it's things like that.
Yeah,
that make me love
so much fun.
Gwenog Jones.
Yeah. So yes, she sees these wizards and the warlock from Scotland playing these games on Quidditch.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten that we were talking about the origins of Quidditch.
Yeah, I was like, where are we? Oh, we're still on this anyway. And then Quidditch isn't mentioned until a century later, when Goodwin. It's Goodwin something. I forgot. I haven't written in his last name. Dang it. Wow, really going well today.
That's all right. Goodwin Keen. Oh no, Kneen?
Gertie.
Goodwin Neen. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a silent
Goodwin
K.
Keen. Kneen. Oh, Neen.
Yeah, I think it would
Neen sounds
be
wrong. I'll just say
Neen.
Goodwin.
It's
Goodwin,
spelled Kneen,
yeah, yeah.
so I would say Neen. I don't know.
Yeah. Goodwin Neen, possibly, writes to his cousin Olaf, and Goodwin lives in Yorkshire, so it's spread across the country over a century, but just not written about, strangely enough. So yeah, that's a little bit about where it came from, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about this until you mentioned it here in the document that Wood handles the snitch with his bare hands in the book and in the film.
Yeah, and as I said, I rewatched this just to make sure. This is one of the main reasons why I rewatched it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've just got to make doubly sure
Yeah.
that this is what happens. But yeah, he's not. Because I was like, maybe he like is already wearing gloves,
Yeah.
but he's not. It says nowhere in the book that he's wearing gloves, and trust me, I've read deeply into this because I'm like, I know like loads of people have this misconception that J.K. Rowling knew everything and
Right.
right at the start. She didn't.
Yeah. No.
But it's like, this is so important. It's so important in the seventh one that so what we're talking about here is snitches have what's called a flesh memory, in which the first person that touches the snitch kind of remembers that person.
Yeah.
So you can like enchant snitches to reveal certain things when that person touches the snitch again. And I'm assuming that this is quite a hard enchantment to do because we don't really hear about it until number 7 when Dumbledore himself does it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it even says, does it say later on, or am I making this up, that Madam Hooch releases the snitch with a gloved hand or with holding a cloth or something?
Possibly. Gloved hand sounds familiar. Do you want me to check?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I'll see if I can quickly skim.
I found it. So, mount your brooms, please. That's Madam Hooch. Harry clambered onto his Nimbus 2000. Madam Hooch gave a loud blast on her silver whistle. 15 brooms rose up high, high into the air. They were off. And the coffin is taken immediately by Angelina Johnson. Blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't say, like, that she even releases the...
Oh, it doesn't even oh, wow, okay.
It doesn't mention that she releases the...
I guess it must be one of those things that is just like... maybe if we're talking about in the actual context of the universe, as if it's like a real thing. I mean, it is a real thing, but like in the context of like the universe, if that makes sense, he must have had a glove on, but it's probably just one of those things that was kind of like forgotten, and then it was like, oh, dang it, like... Yeah,
I do think that J.K. Rowling just made that rule later.
Yeah.
But it just, anyway, it bugs me now as a reader that has read all of the books.
Yeah. He could have just been wearing a glove and it wasn't mentioned. It's not mentioned that, although obviously in the film you see him holding it with his bare hands.
Yeah, he like literally takes it.
Because I guess with the book it's more ambiguous, but people who have only watched the films, that's like...
That's a really huge plot hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many in this series,
but I guess
so we
it doesn't really... Does it explain it in the film, or do they just kind of gloss over it? And he's like, "Oh, Hermione, I found this random thing." Woo-hoo!
Oh, that's true, actually. Well, no, but he don't. No, because I remember Daniel Radcliffe does have the line. He's like, I didn't. I didn't it. I almost swallowed it.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
I can hear that in his voice, so yeah.
I guess you could argue that like this is the same snitch, like they might have a snitch for practicing.
Right, that's the other thing I thought, but then like surely you, like in a school, you
Snitches
order a snitch.
Would be, because you have to have because of the flesh memory thing, you cannot technically when a seeker catches a snitch, they become like the quote owner of that snitch.
Right.
So you cannot have the same snitch twice. Otherwise, I think like the snitch then, I don't know whether this is like very explored, but I think it's kind of like the snitch becomes loyal to that person.
Oh,
So maybe it's like if they released it during another
right,
Quidditch
right.
match, it would just fly off to search
To
for
that
that
person.
person.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why, I don't know.
possibly. But yeah, that sounds plausible, yeah.
Yeah.
I do still feel like, or maybe they're almost like, no, I don't know. It seems like they'd be very expensive for a school to buy one like
because it's
every
like
new Quidditch match.
it looks like it's made out of solid
Maybe
gold.
they get a new one every year, and this
But
is
there's
just like
4
last
games.
year's 4 games.
Is there not
No,
4
there's not.
games? No, or 3
Surely there are
games at
loads of
least.
games.
Uh,
I imagine that there would be a lot, but we just don't see most of them.
okay.
I thought it was like once a month or something.
I thought she writes every single game.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe.
Because she like goes on like about, this is a massive tangent. She goes on like about the leaderboard and stuff, and like, oh, but they beat us in this game, so we have to get blah blah blah. And so she even like she mentions like, oh, they had a Quidditch match and this person wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 'cause she might not write every single game, but she writes
Right.
that they had a game and that they
Right.
a
So
certain
I
team.
thought I mean I haven't read the Quidditch. Like I said, I usually kind of skip over the Quidditch bits, but I imagined it being like there are quite regular games, and it's just if there's a significant game, and they will reference other games they've had that mean that they have to win this one, or like we have to win this one because then the next game will be against this person.
I guess I'm a bit too literal.
Like
for that.
school football.
Yeah.
That's well, although I guess that's different because that's usually other schools.
Yeah.
So
There's like
that's quite different.
inter-England tournament.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, yeah. They don't practice though with the snitch in the book
Because it's
or in the
too
no,
dark.
yeah.
I
which
think that's what it is.
doesn't make much sense. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that. Well, that anyway.
The
in the book,
snitch
they
isn't like a light. I mean, they could
Yeah.
like turn lights on, but I guess like in this universe they'd have to like light sconces
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, they don't practice with the snitch, but they do in the film, right?
They don't actually, you don't see any
Oh no, they
flying.
don't even practice. It's just like teaching the rules. Yeah, okay. Yeah, in the book they practice with golf balls, and Wood is throwing them as hard as he can in every direction, and Harry doesn't
Pointing
miss
my
a single
wand
one.
as hard as I can.
I can't. What were we talking about? Oh no, have you ever watched the Descendants movies?
No.
Well, at the end of the third Descendants movie, there's like a Harry Potter, Voldemort duel kind of thing that goes on. I can't believe I'm exposing myself. But yeah, and I was
okay.
quoting that bit of.
I really like Glee. I'm always
I
a
never
bit,
got into Glee.
Pardon?
I never really got into Glee. I tried to get into it for Darren Criss.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, I tried to watch series 1, didn't really like it, skipped to series 2 for Darren Criss, and I would just like skim along and just watch the Darren Criss bits.
Yeah, I mean, those bits are golden. I love Darren Criss in Glee. Anyway, I love Glee. Anyway, I was just trying to make you feel better because that's like my guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure, yeah. But yeah, I was quoting this because it just looked like that.
Okay.
So yeah, he's throwing these golf balls as hard as he can in every direction, and Harry just catches all of them.
Wait, why did you mention Descendant?
Because we were saying about how it should have ended.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
pointing my wand as hard as I can.
Okay.
What's it going to take, Tom? You tried to come as a baby and it didn't work. It's over. It's never over.
Muggle weapon.
Snape, you're alive. Of course. Okay, we need to stop because we'll just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So then, after they've practiced, Oliver Wood says, "That Quidditch Cup will have our name on it this year," said Wood happily as they trudged back to the castle. "I wouldn't be surprised if you turn out better than Charlie Weasley, and he could have played for England if he hadn't gone off chasing dragons."
I feel the same about Harry. I'm like, Harry, you could have been so good at Quidditch if
Oh
you
my
hadn't have gone
goodness.
off chasing dark wizards. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of low-key really annoyed that Harry didn't become a
I
Quidditch player.
Yeah, and also I think he would be an awful aura. Like
Yeah,
even he says himself, like most of the stuff he does is just kind of luck, and it's
purely
just
luck.
because of the prophecy, and like
Yeah.
he's not actually particularly skilled. But he just got a job because he's Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm the one that defeated
Right,
Voldemort.
right. Like
When it's
that's a
like
great
he
resume.
literally did it with Expelliarmus, spoilers.
Right, right.
Like, could you be more 12-year-old in how you defeat
Yeah,
the darkest wizard of all time
yeah,
apart from Grindelwald?
yeah.
Anyway,
Any other spell, yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, it's the Harry Potter spell, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So now we've had flying lessons. It's time for some feathers to have a flying lesson now. What a smooth segue.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
Um,
As I said, I enjoyed writing this script.
um, this is such a lovely thing, but Harry felt more at home than he'd ever done at Privet Drive. Lovely, but also very, very sad because that's most of his life.
Yeah, like he's had what 11 years at Privet Drive.
Yeah, 10 years.
This is 3 months now,
Yeah.
if that
Oh,
ish.
yeah.
You know,
Very, very
it just
sad.
goes to show what a few good friends and a few good
Yeah.
meals can do for someone.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it
And it
makes
goes
me
to
so
show
happy that
like Harry. I mean, no, I was just about to say like how easy Harry is to please, but like it's literally like the magical universe.
that's true.
Like,
Yeah, Harry, like, no, he's a wizard.
it's simple pleasures, but it's like he's on a flying broomstick.
Yeah.
That's hardcore awesome.
Yeah, that's not the basic things in life. That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
improper.
like dream.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They've been looking forward to making objects fly in Charms since Flitwick made Trevor zoom around the classroom. I forgot about this bit.
yeah, me
What
too.
a lovely
Animal
little
cruelty,
mental image.
Cruelty.
Oh,
Animal cruelty.
Yeah.
Especially like it's Trevor the Treasure. Come on.
Trevor the Treasure. Oh, wow.
It's like imagine making the real main character fly around a costume. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
So humiliating. It's just not on. What's happening here? Flitwick warns the class about the dangers of mispronunciation. Never forget. Oh wow! If I mispronounce this sentence or like mess it up, this is not going to be the one for me to do that. Never forget Wizard Baraffio, who said S instead of F and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest.
I mean, excuse me? What? That can happen? Like, these are 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like, in a classroom,
Mm-hmm.
there are multiple other 11-year-olds in multiple other classrooms, all doing way more advanced spells. You know, other ages. What? Like, why doesn't this ever come up again? Like, why doesn't, like, way more dangerous things could happen. Dangerous things
Yeah,
could...
I would love if this had become a bit of a running gag of like, there's one character, like how in the film, or maybe a
Why
bit,
is it
but
always
in the film
me?
Seamus keeps like, Seamus keeps like blowing things up and stuff. I would have
Oh,
loved if
yeah.
there was a little sub character who always mispronounced spells
Yeah,
and ended up
and
getting in these
makes
ridiculous
things-
situations. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I wish that happened a little bit more.
Yeah.
But alas, it does not. Although, speaking of pronunciation, there's a slight difference between the Wingardium Leviosa dispute from the book to movie, with Hermione correcting Ron. In the film, of course, I feel like this is one that everyone knows best. It's Leviosa.
Not
Leviosa.
I
seen
love...
so many.
Stop. You're going to take
someone's eye out. Yeah.
Does that happen? Does that happen in the book?
No, I don't think
Oh, here
so.
we go. But he does like, so when I watch the film and he like stupidly goes like with his wand, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's not good. But actually it says Ron at the next table wasn't having much more luck. Wingardium Leviosa, he shouted, waving his long arms like a windmill.
Wow, yeah.
So
That,
that's
I
actually
can't
way more
even quite
stupid.
visualize that. Yeah, he does
Like
look like
arms
a lot more of an
plural as
idiot.
well, remember?
Yeah, yeah. What's the other arm doing? I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So then in the book, Hermione says, "You're saying it wrong. It's Wingardium Leviosa. Make the gar nice and long."
Oh my gosh.
You do it then if you're so clever. Yeah.
Hermione.
Hermione.
Dumbledore!
Yeah, she's just one of those
I mean,
one
I
of those
guess like
people.
she's just kind of trying to help, but at the same time, I feel like she's not trying to help.
No,
She's trying to
she's
prove
absolutely
that
not trying to help. She's being like, look, she's proving, yeah, like you said, proving that she knows it.
Yeah, I know how to do it. Watch me.
Exactly. And then when he's like, you do it, then if you're so clever, she's like, with pleasure.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then everything else is pretty much the same from book to movie, apart from Seamus setting his feather on fire before Hermione and Ron argue, rather than after.
Yeah, and Harry's like...
And Harry smothers it with his wizard's hat. Can we just talk about the fact that it is a uniform constantly for them to wear hats, like pointed hats? I always forget this until it's mentioned, that they're just constantly wearing wizard hats.
Yeah, I find this really hard to picture as well. And I can totally see why they don't do it in the movie, because like imagine just the visual anarchy of that.
Yeah.
It would be so messy in your head.
Yeah.
And you'd constantly be like poking people's eyes out on set and like omitting people's faces.
And continuity would be so difficult because they'd always be like crumpled in different directions, and the framing would be weird because you'd have to get the hats in or like not get the hats in. Yeah. But I guess because I've watched the movie so much, I just always forget that they're in hats all the time.
Yeah, me too. I didn't
which is amazing.
pick up on that when I read it. Even though it says he puts it out with his hat. Sorry, I just wanted to add as well that if you watch this scene, Emma does such a good job of looking just outrageously smug as she's like doing her little feather aren't I the best?
She is spot on.
So annoyingly smug. It's perfect.
Yeah. And then again, very similar book to film, Ron loudly calls Hermione a nightmare in the crowded corridor, and Hermione pushes past them. And Harry is startled to see that she was in tears. Hermione wasn't seen for the rest of the day. Yeah.
Like what?
And
who
Ron
wouldn't
feels
be in tears
awkward
after
about
being
it.
called a nightmare?
Yeah.
Like, come on, Harry, get it together, mate. Sorry.
Which it's pretty obviously in the film. It's more of a courtyard, but it's the same. Same kind of exchange.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And then Hermione wasn't seen for the rest of the day, and Ron feels very awkward about it, as he should.
Yeah, the bin should be. I mean, I don't like Hermione, but I don't condone any type of bullying.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's that. This is why I have such a hard time with Snape. I'll say it once, and I'll say it again. I am a product of bullying, and Snape is a product of bullying, and
you're not a horrible person who bullies children.
Exactly. As a product of bullying, I do not want to carry on the chain, as it were. Yeah. And it speaks volumes about Snape's character that he's happy to make other young children feel exactly the same as he does. Yeah. Anyway, I really, really dislike Snape, and no one will be able to.
I think maybe you will remember better than me, weirdly, but I feel like I for a
You
long time
originally
really
really
liked
liked
Snape.
Snape. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I quite liked him too, because I was like, oh yeah, he's such a deep like character. He has so many sides. And now I'm like, no, he
Yeah.
has one side. He's mean. I don't care whether he's
Yeah.
on like the good side technically. He is a really nasty piece of work.
Yes.
And he's very much like, I read a questionnaire with J.K. Rowling after she I'll put this link in the thing as well, in the description as well. After they had published the seventh book, and they like have like a big forum where she answered loads of questions. Somebody said, "Do you consider Snape a hero?" And she said, "Well, yeah. I mean, he gave his life, so you kind of have to, but you have to. Like, it's not like you want to. He's
Yeah.
an anti-hero. He's not a nice character.
Not even an anti-hero, because an anti-hero is like someone who's like a bit like rebellious and like anti-establishment almost, and like kind of.
I guess so.
He's just a horrible person who died for the greater good, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely should have a really in-depth episode about Snape, because there's so
several
much to unpack.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, particularly as a product of bullying myself, I just cannot forgive his actions towards multiple students.
Yeah. And it's, see, the problem is, like, maybe we should save this, but on one hand, it's like, people say, like, oh yeah, but James was mean too, but James did it when he was a kid, and like, yes.
James redeems himself. Like,
but also, that doesn't mean that James was good when he was a kid.
He was a little snot at school. He was really mean, but he doesn't carry it on.
You know what we should do? We should do like a Marauders kind of like series.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on there.
So much to discuss. Yeah. I can sympathise a lot more with James than I can with Snape.
Yeah.
And as I said before, Draco is my favourite character because he redeems himself. Snape does not ever redeem himself, in my opinion, even though he does die for the cause, yada yada, but his actions before that point, before and up to that point, do not excuse, do not like, his actions override his sacrifice for me.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry. Oh dear. Okay, so speaking of Marauders, let's go on to the Marauders map with our lovely Lucy.
Oh, I thank you, my dear Elizabeth. So, not too much to explore today, because it's all really in the same kind of place as last time. The only thing to mention really is that the fourth form room at Harrow School in London is Flitwick's Charms classroom.
Oh, cool.
And also that the where they film the Quidditch practice scene and where Hermione barges past the boys, all that kind of outside stuff is again just at Alnwick Castle.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Where did you say Flitwick's castle was? Like where in England?
Harrow School in London.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Sorry. That's not really very interesting commentary on that, sorry. I've never been there, so I don't really have much to say. But I do love that classroom. I like the kind of amphitheatre kind of
super
look
cool.
to it.
Super cool room.
I want to learn in that classroom. I feel
People
like I would do some good learning.
Like, yeah.
Or maybe not, because I'd be like, this is so cool the whole time.
That's true. Not very concentrated.
Yeah. So before we end this episode, we just wanted to quickly mention that as of recording, we have just yesterday uploaded our first episode on YouTube. Woohoo!
Fireworks.
That was like fireworks.
Those gunshots. I was like, yikes.
Oh yeah.
What's happening?
Maybe it would have been like flash boom. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway. Not important.
No. And as we have uploaded it, we have also now set up our social media. So we just thought we'd go through that. So on Instagram, our name is Potterwatch Podcast. On Facebook, we've got a page called Potterwatch from Page to Screen. We don't have a group right now, but if interest is there, then sure, we'll make one. And you can also email us, and we'd love it if you'd email us like your insights, theories, stories, etc. That's on potterwatchfpts, stands for From Page to Screen, at gmail.com. So that's potterwatchfpts@gmail.com. So yeah, please do contact us. That would be really nice. Also, might be worth mentioning that we aren't both doing Instagram and Facebook. Lucy is the one behind Instagram. I'm the one behind Facebook. So if you have a preference, if you want to speak to me, go on Facebook. Lucy, Instagram.
And email.
Although we
both
both be yeah, it'll be both of us on email. Although I'm probably the main one.
Yeah,
going to be on email, but I will obviously show Lucy, and we're both. Lucy isn't on Facebook at all, but I'm keeping an eye on Instagram. It's probably a wise decision. Yeah. I wish I didn't have to be on Facebook, but at this point, I now have to be on Facebook.
Yeah, I probably should be. It would be a lot easier in terms of, groups and things.
I'm still very, very proud of you for not conforming to that.
I guess, to be fair, decision. It's less of a... I feel like Facebook, with kids my age, is less of a social media thing. It's for, like, scouts and, like, school stuff and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. So that concludes this episode of Potterwatch from Page to Screen.
Keep twiddling those dials. Keep each other safe. Keep faith.
Good night.
I feel like my chin isn't long enough. Like the underneath of my chin. I think a man is getting rid of a spider out in front of my house. He's just run out with a piece of paper and a glass and is like shaking it around.
Oh dear.
I'm going to show you what the bludgers do. These are the bludgers. This sounds so weird.
Nice.
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 Lovely.